This is a Mighty Travels Premium Business Class review on Lufthansa with the A320neos from Athens to Istanbul via Frankfurt. I was initially booked on a direct flight from Athens to Istanbul on Turkish Airlines, but just about 48 hours before the flight, Turkish Airlines would have to cancel that flight because of the restrictions in Greece airspace. Call center agents offered me to rebook via Lufthansa from Athens to Frankfurt and from Frankfurt to Istanbul besides that obvious round trip, and I happily accepted. After a productive few at the Lufthansa Business Class lounge in Athens, I made my way to the gate, only to realize that my departure would likely be 35 minutes late. The arriving plane had just arrived at the gate and passengers were still deplaning. Eventually, boarding was called and it was time to discover the new A320neo. Lufthansa uses an economy configuration, including their business class section. What they do is they move the curtain for business class seats back and forth, depending on how many seats are used in so-called business class. What actually happens is the middle seat is being blocked, just like many US airlines have been doing since the onset of COVID-19. This plane would be about 100% full on that flight. This was true for business class and economy class. Boarding took forever, so it felt, and luck would have it, an especially anxious flyer would sit just in front of me. For the next 2 hours, my fellow passenger would call the flight attendants constantly, bounce in his seat, shake my laptop around, forget to put up his mask, or make his carry-on dog bark up the cabin. In sum, a total disaster of a passenger for everyone involved. For a while, I was sure we'd turn around and deplane him, but that somehow never happened. The flight crew tried their best to keep him in check, but that only happened after he took just another pill and eventually fell asleep just before landing. For such a rather short flight, the quality and quantity of catering was exceptional. I liked the main entree as well as the cheese desserts quite a bit. I'm not a fan of cured meats, but still, they look quite appetizing. Given our delay, the pilot eventually gave us an announcement when we got closer to Frankfurt and mentioned that no connections would be missed due to our late arrival. Good news, I thought, but I wasn't giving too much thought to it. See how you can afford to fly business class and book 5-star hotels for very little with Mighty Travels Premium. Get your 30-day free trial today. Click here on the menu card or go to mtp4u.com. We got a beautiful fall day for our landing in Frankfurt. landed, we got off and I made my way through border control. There was no line despite just 2 immigration officers on duty. And once on the non-Schengen side, it was quite obvious why. The place was deserted. There was just one more gate active besides my gate to Istanbul, and just one deserted coffee shop. All the other shops, all the lounges closed. This included the Senator Lounge, which is open in the morning. The Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge was also closed, and so was the business class lounge that Lufthansa usually runs in Terminal B. I still hurried to my new gate, but only to discover it was simply the non-Schengen side of my existing plane. And indeed, once everyone had deplaned and we had waited an additional 45 minutes for this delayed flight to get the plane cleaned and ready to go, I said hi to the same crew I had just left behind. The flight to Istanbul was much faster, so I felt. And I was the only passenger in business class. Economy was about 20% full, and I wouldn't believe it, but the catering was even better than on my flight to Frankfurt. I really liked the chicken served. It looked a little suspicious, but tasted great. This flight was rather uneventful, and after a delightfully quiet 2.5 hours, we landed at the new Istanbul airport just before midnight. Istanbul airport greeted us with lots of parked planes on all taxiways and plenty of time to ogle at them. See how you can afford to fly business class and book 5-star hotels for very little with Mighty Travels Premium. Get your 30-day free trial today. Click here on the menu card or go to mtp4u.com.